How to attract women. She sat by herself at the bar of the restaurant. Her only company was a book. I sidled up near her, 2 stools apart, maybe 3, as casual as I could muster. I would quote what I said, but my attempt at a joke sputtered out of me so poorly that I'm not even sure it made sense. She looked up at me, and there was a moment of silence between us so awkward you could have stabbed me in the groin and I wouldn't have noticed. Her face quickly went from confusion to disgust. My mind raced for some sort of recovery, some sort of new, more clever joke to make up for my failed attempt at my original semi-clever joke. Nothing came. In the past, I sulked away in this situation, having embarrassed myself again. But this time, something in me snapped, or not snapped, but rather, something resigned itself. I sighed and said, "I'm sorry, I was trying to be clever. I just wanted to say hi." The air eased between us a bit. Her disgust faded, and she gave me kind of a friendly grin. "It's okay, it was a nice try, I guess." I laughed. "No, it wasn't." She laughed, and I sat down next to her. Attraction and your intentions. There's a lot of advice on attracting women out there, and what most of it misses is that attraction, seduction, intimacy, sex, whatever you want to call it, is an emotional process, not a physical or social one. You can say the wrong things and still attract a woman. You can say all of the right things and repel her. What matters is the intention, the motivation, the authenticity. To improve your dating life, you must improve your emotional life. How you feel about yourself and others, how you express yourself to others, etc. It's not about learning lines or routines or dressing up a certain way. It's about unmasking the unique and attractive man within yourself and joyfully expressing it to the women of the world. That may sound vague, but it has very real repercussions on your interactions with women. People choose who they're going to be with based on how they feel around that person. For us men, it's often quite simple. A beautiful woman makes us feel aroused, so we pursue sex with her. If we feel cared for, respected, and admired by her, we pursue a relationship with her. But women experience sexuality differently than we do, so it can be a bit more complicated and hard for us to decipher what makes them feel attracted to us. But the principle remains the same. Women go with men who make them feel a certain way. There are a number of ways to elicit emotion in a woman, and the way in which you go about eliciting that emotion will determine the quality and quantity, or lack thereof, of the relationships you have with women. What I'm saying is this. You'll find a lot of varying advice out there on how to attract women. Some will say to tease them, some will say to be selfish and rude around them, some will say to buy them gifts, others will say to be cold and calculating. Whichever of these avenues you choose to pursue with women, that is the corresponding relationship you'll create. If you choose to be cold, calculating, and manipulative with women, you will naturally screen for women who will create a cold, calculating, and manipulative relationship with you. If you pursue women with a neediness and an idealization of them, then you will attract equally naive and insecure women who will create a relationship of neediness and false idolization. If you pursue women in a rude and harsh manner, you will attract women who respond to harsh emotions and elicit harsh emotions themselves. I encourage men to pursue women with honesty and authenticity because this screens for women who are honest, authentic, and conscientious themselves, making for far better relationships. The other reason I encourage men to pursue women with authenticity is that communicating your sexuality with women openly forces you to become a confident and integrated man. In the short term, this can be more painful and difficult, but in the long run, this reduces emotional neediness and molds you into a bold and confident man who draws women to him like a magnet. A man of status. It is important to mention that there is not yet any consensus on what attracts women to men. Science has found dozens of factors, some major, some minor, but there is no overarching model that is agreed upon by everyone. Anyone who tells you otherwise is lying to you. Many of these traits which determine attraction are completely out of our control. Genetic makeup, physical features, testosterone levels, social perceptions, where a woman is on her ovulation cycle, etc. We can't control these, so there's little reason to worry about them, And then there are the traits which are within our control, our lifestyle choices, our occupation, how we dress and groom ourselves, our health and fitness, our confidence, our lack of neediness, and our behavior. This is a lot to juggle around. So it helps to find some underlying principles to attraction, a common denominator of all attractive behaviors and qualities, or at least most of them. And research shows that the largest common denominator when studying what attracts women to men is that men who are perceived to be of higher status around women tend to attract them more often. It's no surprise then that status gets mentioned the most often in dating advice and pickup material. It's ubiquitous, and yet there are a number of interpretations of what actually constitutes status. There's outward status, money, resources, nice clothes, and behavioral displays of status, confidence, dominance, leadership. There are arguments on both sides of which drive is which. Does having money and prestige lead to confidence and leadership? Or does being a confident leader create wealth and prestige? My personal belief is the latter. And not only is there some research supporting that women are attracted to potential status as much as they are attracted to status itself, but I feel like I have a fair amount of experience in this area. For a period of time toward the end of college and the first 2 years afterward, I was dead broke, living on my friend's couch for a period of time, unemployed, usually, and still going out and partying quite a bit. This didn't slow me down. In fact, I attracted a significant number of older women who took me under their wing and wanted to support me during this period until I got on my feet. I believe that status in a male is determined by his behavior. Outward displays of status can create opportunities. Cars, money, nice clothes. But don't create lasting attraction themselves. They are the effects of high-status behavior, not the causes. Sexual attraction from women is determined by status. Status is determined by behavior, and what determines whether a man has attractive behavior or not is his perception of himself relative to those around him, particularly women. I refer to this concept as neediness, and believe the degree of a man's neediness around women will determine how attractive or unattractive his behavior around them will be. For instance, a needy man may come up with really clever jokes and have a great job, but he will use them to impress her and get validation from her. Needy behaviors, and will therefore be perceived to be unattractive. Whereas a non-needy man may talk about silly conversation topics, openly admit that he's between jobs, but get very excited and passionate about his rock climbing hobby. Believe it or not, this man will be seen as attractive because his behaviors will be genuine, authentic, and non-needy. The reason is, he's basing his behavior around her on his perception of himself and not her perception of him. The needy man, despite having a nice job and clever things to say, is a follower. He's a pawn of those around him. He will only go so far. The non-needy man, even though he may be a bit aimless and in a downturn in his life, he will end up living an enriching and unique life that suits him and makes him happier. If a man values the perceptions of others more than his perception of himself, then he will naturally behave in an unattractive way around them. If he trusts his perception of himself more than the perceptions of those around him, then he will be perceived as a non-needy man and therefore behave attractively. All of the outward appearances of status and resources, the fitness, the nice clothes, the cool lifestyle, these things are a result of a man who is inwardly driven, a man who invests in himself and takes care of himself. When all is said and done, all attractive traits in a man can be traced back to his lack of neediness. Please note, I am not saying that a man should disregard the perceptions of others, or that he should trash or disrespect the perceptions of others, only that he should believe in his perception of himself more than the perceptions of those around him. Calling a woman many times in succession because she didn't call you back and never getting an answer. Neediness, straining to come up with a funny line or clever joke in order to impress a woman or to get her to like you. Neediness. Memorizing lines or routines to meet women and avoid rejection. Neediness. Accepting that if a woman doesn't call you back that she probably wasn't the right woman for you anyway. Non-neediness. Lying to a woman to make yourself appear more interesting or attractive. Neediness. expressing your sexual interests and desires openly and honestly. Non-neediness, hiding your flaws, accepting no criticism of yourself. Neediness, being unafraid of exposing your flaws, being comfortable with not being perfect. Non-neediness, feeling the need to be dominant or in control of an interaction at all times. Neediness, resenting the women you date or assuming they're inferior or dumber than you, treating them like children. Neediness, treating women as equals and having standards about only dating women who you enjoy and who make you happy. Non-neediness, investing in improving yourself for yourself, not to impress women or make people like you. Non-neediness, improving yourself only to impress those around you, doing what you think will make people like you instead of doing what you like. Neediness. You'll notice that a number of the behaviors labeled needy above are behaviors taught in other dating advice as legitimate ways to attract women. Needy behavior will only attract other needy women. Neediness finds its own level, so if you're an angry misogynist who lies to women to get them to sleep with you, the only women who will tolerate your behavior long enough to sleep with you will be angry, distrusting women who lie to get things from men. If you are open and honest about your intentions and genuinely care about the women you meet and interact with, then you will attract genuine and caring women who will be honest with you. This is referred to as the assortment effect in psychology, and it has been demonstrated in numerous studies. Chances are, if you've been highly needy in the past, then you've engaged in dysfunctional relationships with women who were highly needy in similar or complementary ways. Or, if you've been with few or no women, or are unable to attract any women, then chances are you've been so needy in your behavior that you've remained alone. If you want to be with amazing women who are open, loving, independent, supportive, and nurturing, then you need to become the male equivalent. You need to become an honest, open, and strong man who believes in himself, takes care of himself, and is proud of the amazing life he's made for himself. Attracting women is not about appearing attractive. It's about being attractive. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. And if you've made it this far, drop a comment below with the word 2024 so I know you're still with me. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.